So, wouldn't it be fun if, like, we started a podcast?
Oh, dude, it'd be so much fun. I can't even think of anything more fun than starting a podcast with you.
I feel like it would go like this. I would say, hello, this is our podcast. It hasn't been named yet, but in this scenario, it will have been named, and it will be this name. And then I'll say the name, and then I'll be like, I am your co-host. My name is Jesse Barrymore, and then I would introduce myself with a blurb, just straight to the points that people need to know about me. What would those be, by the way?
I don't know, but your style is definitely straight to the point. I can't imagine you ever taking 4 minutes to a roundabout to get to the point. That's just not you as a person. So this whole new bit you're trying out makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like if I were to ask anybody, what my style of communication was, they would probably say just very clear and concise.
Yeah, to the point.
To the point. That's what clear and concise means, by the way. Why is your vocabulary such trash? We're going to work on that before we start a podcast.
I don't know if you know anything about me, but I'm from the Department of Redundancy Department.
Heck
so
yeah.
You can probably just back off with the attitude immediately if you wanted.
Okay, from the top. Hello, this is a podcast. It is called This Podcast. My name is Jesse Barrymore, and I like to say things clearly and concisely. I was born in November of 1992 via cesarean section. My mom planned that for November 11th because she knew that we would both have the day off for the rest of our lives on account of veterans. Thank you for your service. Joe, who are you and what is your story?
My name is Joe. I was a natural birth and I breastfed for at least 17 months, I'm pretty sure, because my mom would slap me sometimes when I'd bite her nipple.
And of course, with this new information that you have about us, your co-host, you now are able to understand exactly what this podcast is going to be about. Breastfeeding and veterans.
I love milk.
And I love thanking Joe for his service. When did you enlist? At 17 months, as soon as you were weaned, or how did that work?
No, I skipped those 17 months and the next 3 decades after that, and I just went ahead and enlisted when I was 31 years old.
Heck yes. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So that wraps it up. That's the first episode?
It feels good, to be honest. So we should be rich, Joe Rogan trembling in his boots.
Yes.
Etc.
What is it called again, though?
It is called the Supply Chain Crisis Podcast.
The Supply Chain Crisis Podcast. Okay, from the top. Hello, my name is Jesse Barrymore, and this is the Supply Chain Crisis Podcast. This is a podcast about...
I hate the name of that.
What was that?
Sucks.
It sucks?
From the top. Oh, yeah, we need to think of a new name.
How about this? How about you lead us in from the top then, Mr. Smarty Pants?
And action. Hello, all you next. Welcome to episode 1, Supply Podcast Chain Crisis. I am your host, Joseph Seppi. Sitting alongside me is my co-host, Jesse Barrymore. His first name is spelled Jesse, like you think, with an I, an E, a Y, sometimes a U, for some reason. Jesse, are you there?
Hello. This is Jesse, Jessieeey.
Thank you for that. That was very informative. I feel like I know you now more than I ever have. That includes the time you showed me your genitalia.
And now we will cut to a quick break from our sponsors. Listen, I don't think anyone's going to sponsor us, especially if you use that weird tone of voice. What is that you're doing right now?
Oh, is that weird? It was my broadcaster voice.
Okay. Can you just start from the top, Cardi B style, please? And let's just get this right.
Okay, from the top.
From the top. Make it drop.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Giuseppe. This is my co-host, Jesse Barrymore. We are starting our very own podcast called the Supply Chain Podcast Crisis, boys. Let me introduce you to my co-host. Did I already do that? I can't remember because I got Tourette's and autism all wrapped up in one. I can't remember what I said or what I'm going to say, but guess what? It's going to be finger-licking good. Jesse, are you there? Have you started perspiring yet?
We can, editor, please edit out the annoying laughter. Cutting straight to me. Yes, thank you. I am Jesse and I am here. And this is a podcast about Joe being weaned and me being born cesarean. And probably something trucking related.
I'll tell you what right now, there's nothing more that I like than a suckle bosom. Is it a suckle or is it supple? I can't remember. My vocabulary's been trash since day one. I literally get all my words from the landfill. Do you know what I'm saying? Jesse, back to you in the booth.
Yes. Just gonna piggyback
Jesse,
off of...
if I could interrupt you right now real quick, you mentioned something about being born cesarean. What does that even mean?
That just means that my mom, they cut her open, I guess, hamburger style, and then just yanked me right out of there.
So they just took a switchblade and just gutted her like some kind of muley right there in the open?
Yeah, I believe there was a curtain. I don't actually remember it that well. It's been a little while ago.
Man, can you imagine driving a curtain side, boy? Not in these parts. In this economy, we tarp like real men. We get our fingernails dirty. We don't need no screwdrivers to peel open our little, what do you call that? A wagon? A covered wagon? No, sirree, bye. We are flatbedders, open deck, just like the good Lord above intended, and we wear Crocs with socks. Your thoughts?
I'm just so glad that after 7 minutes and 49 seconds of this podcast starting that we have finally got to the point, which is that tarping is dope in all kinds of weather. Where have you tarped? Hurricanes by chance? That's where I like tarping.
I have tarped in hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes. When Moses parted the seas, I was in there. I was tarping dry lumber. And you know what? When that sea came crashing back down on me, because I was a little slower than the rest of his people, the chosen ones, the lake or the sea or whatever, it just kind of swallowed me up. But guess what? That dry lumber stayed dry. You know why? Because I put her in 4-wheel drive, and I just hammered down at 65 miles an hour.
This podcast is...
Are you okay? You sound like you've been eating some peppered, lightly or not lightly peppered pork skins. Is that about right?
I would like to take this opportunity to talk about my gripe of the day. My gripe of the day is I went into the Come and Go, spelling not important. I went in there and I got...
What she said, I'm telling you what, oh my God.
I got some of them there. Hey, doofus, what's your name? Seppi, can I just get 2 words in here? I thought we agreed we were going to be concise and to the point.
We agreed on many things. I can't remember any of them. I don't remember. If you remember what I said earlier, I got dementia.
Editor, please insert a sidebar here. Sidebar. Giuseppe, sidebar.
Sidebar. Let's hear it.
One thing I don't appreciate about your performance right now is that you haven't said one thing about Russians or your feelings being hurt while using this tone of voice.
Oh, God.
Can you throw...
Tell you what, I came out of that roadside park, that Russian was bearing down on me. I knew he was on drugs. I could see it because when I set down my roller weenie and the garbage that I couldn't understand, boy, it hurt my feelings, shattered them.
So anyways, this podcast is about this is about sexual intercourse, of which Joe is a decorated veteran. Would you like to talk about your third tour of duty in sexual intercourse, please?
Yes, my third tour of duty, I definitely received the Purple Heart because I took a lot of incoming, if you know what I mean, boy.
There's no way anyone's gonna pay us for this. Oh, that's perfect.
Dude, everybody's gonna pay us for this. I don't know what you're talking about. This right here is gold. From the top?
So there's one idea. We could let that germinate for a little while, where we talk about the Okay, from the top, Cardi B style.
Alright, here we go. I'm ready.
Hello, valued listeners. This is a podcast. It is called the Supply Chain Podcast. I'm here with Joe Seppi. My name is Jesse Barrymore, and I was born cesarean section. Joe, back to you on the front lines of the supply chain crisis. What are you seeing out there?
Good morning, Jesse. I can tell you right now what I'm seeing out here on the front lines of the supply chain crisis is absolutely not good. I've been driving on the front lines for approximately 8 hours and 3 minutes, and I have not seen one snake. Back to you in the booth.
It is alarming how few snakes we're seeing in the booth. I have strategically placed several snakes in here last summer. I don't know what happened to them. They appear to be missing. It's a bad year for the snakes, or the roses. That's a reference no one's going to understand. We'll cut that out in post-production. Next topic. Man, I'm really good at this. The flow is just, I'm killing it today.
Yeah.
So anyways, the Ukraine there is... I think we should give the old interest rates the Cardi B treatment there. From the top, make them drop, please. For the love of God, make them drop.
If you crane them, you join them, or whatever. You can't crane them, you not
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We are very good at this. Pay us lots of money and give us a 5-star review on Stitcher. Or where are we posting this?
Number 1?
Grindr. Our podcast is now exclusively on Grindr. Please leave us a 5-star review. Joe took incoming fire in his third tour of duty in sexual intercourse. R.I.P. How's your eye doing, by the way? Do you still have the patch?
I have everything you need after taking incoming to the eye during sexual intercourse.
Man. One of the things I'm worried about with this podcast is I feel like we might be ruining our reputation as being wholesome.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Is this...
Oh, God. This is going really well. Let's try one more time.
Okay, I'm crying. Okay, I'm ready.
Hello, valued listeners that we may or may not actually care about at all. We're in this for the money. As an aside, thank you for listening on your preferred podcasting application. Ours is Grindr. Please follow us on Grindr. This episode is brought to you by Grindr. This is the Supply Chain Crisis Podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Joe Seppi. He is challenged in many ways. He joined the military at 30 years old. And now he tarps lumber and enjoys it. My name is Jesse. I have never been in the military, but one time I did get kicked out of a Cub Scout meeting for failing to follow directions. I also enjoy tarping lumber. The flow is, I'm killing the flow. This is really good. Okay.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Everything is foggy, dude. I cannot see.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Eyes are burning. From the top.
From the top. Hello, valued listeners. My name is Jesse, and this is the Supply Chain Crisis Podcast. I'm coming to you live today from my come and go parking lot in Sherburne, Minnesota. That is my way of telling you that I am an influential person, and obviously very important. Joe is coming to you live from something called the Honey Hive Bee State thing, and there is fog. We are both really good at this, the podcasting and the flatbedding. The first thing we'd like to talk to you today about is how real truckers drive 64.6 miles per hour in the right lane with Crocs on. Your thoughts, Joe?
My thoughts, first of all, thank you for that immaculate introduction, Jesse. Before we proceed and talk about our Crocs at 64.6, I just have to know, what method were you conceived and or birthed?
I believe the rumor is that I was conceived at a logging conference in Reno, Nevada. And there was some anecdote about, I believe my mother had fallen off the bed during climax. I was born cesarean section on November 11th, Veterans Day, not because we're patriotic, but because my mom knew that was a federal holiday and we would both have it off for the rest of our lives. It's the nicest thing she's ever done for me.
Two things. I am the one that is known for having trash vocabulary, so the fact that you pronounced it Nevada and then you said antidote instead of anecdote is really a great start to this beautiful relationship we have now with the listeners. So I'm glad that you get to be the dumb one and I will be the scholar.
We are really good at this. This is a great podcast. Okay. Here we go.
Is this episode 9 now?
No, I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. Okay.
Alright, here we go.
Hello, listeners. We don't care about any of you on a personal level, but we're glad that you're here. My name is Jesse. This is my co-host, Joe. He pronounces things correctly, but I know more words than him. So together, we're an unstoppable force. I was born cesarean section in Redding, California, November 11th, 1992. Because my mom wanted me to have a holiday as a birthday. It's Veterans Day. Speaking of veterans, Joe Seppi, he is a veteran of multiple theaters of war, including sexual intercourse and Afghanistan. Back to you on the front lines, sir. What's happening out there?
There are many things happening out here, Jesse. Thank you for that exclusive introduction. I don't know if you just noticed that right there. I threw in a multiple syllable word. I hope that you and the audience picked up on that so as to throw them off the scent that I am a grade A idiot. But back to the supply chain crisis and the front lines. Things are looking beautiful out here. I couldn't ask for better weather, better freight market, or better tarping situations, because I don't know if you heard about it. We love God looked down on her and smiled a smile as big as a Great Dane. Back to Jesse in the booth.
There is a lot to unpack here. I believe this is exactly what our listeners have come for, not to mention the many sponsors that will be flocking to fund this endeavor of ours with all of the Caesarean and Catholic sex talk. However, I think you knocked it out of the park. I mean, I couldn't have said it any better myself. Big as a Great Dane that's a hell of an adjective phrase there, deal thing. Okay, 21 minutes and 14 seconds, and we have 30 seconds of a podcast that we can use. We are very good at this. It's going to be a high-dollar show. Joe,
please look for us as we come to a town near you. I'm sorry, I spoke over you. We are really good at this. Let's go. Cancel those meet and greets. Back to you in the booth.
Thank you. I was thinking for today's podcast, we would start by introducing ourselves briefly and in a way that we wouldn't say anything that could possibly prevent us from being monetized. I think we knocked that out of the park. And then I think maybe we should play a game.
I love sports.
Heck yeah. So, should we revisit one of our older games or should we create a new one?
Let's revisit one of our older games for the audience.
Okay, for the audience. It's kind of weird when we say for the audience.
Oh, to heck with the audience for us.
This isn't for the audience. Get out of here. This is for me and Joe only. The fact that you're here is weird and voyeuristic, and we do not care for it. Please continue to play and like this video, though, because we would like money. It's still very weird that you're here. So the game, which game are we playing? Dealer's choice. You are the dealer in this scenario.
Oh, this is actually my favorite game that you do, where you give me no warning and then you just tell me to do things. I love this game. How about let's talk about states. Are you familiar with any of the states of the Union?
I am familiar with at least 48 of the however many states of this blessed Union.
Okay, let's all right, name a state that you were rear-ended at high speeds.
Oh, Missouri.
This game is over. Thank you for listening. If you still are, that is weird. Please do not hang up, though. We need you to continue listening. Rate 5 stars. Jesse is very famous on the internet, so you're going to want to follow him on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Grindr.
We are now exclusively on Grindr. Okay, dead bit. That's fine. Joe, I'm going to name a state, and then man, we had such a good flow going the other day when no one was listening. Remember the vibe we had?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good vibe.
That was too bad. No one will ever know that vibe.
Yeah, nobody else is there, just vibes.
Okay, let's go state by state, and then we'll think of something stupid that we have done in that state in relation to our job. Are you ready?
I like this game. I'm ready.
Okay. From the top, which means the Pacific Northwest, Washington. Joe, let's go.
Something I've done stupid in Washington. I applied and got hired for Coca-Cola. Jesse, what have you done stupid in Washington State?
I am taking some time to think. Interrupt me if you can remember something I did stupid there.
Yakima, Washington.
Yakima, Washington. One time I ran over a Toyota Prius. It was red. I got fired from a trucking company that is absolute trash. Oregon.
Something stupid that I have done in Oregon.
Yes.
Where do I begin in Oregon? One time in Oregon, I parked right next to a homeless camp while I was waiting to get loaded for the next morning. And that was just stupid. bargain.
I allowed some sort of establishment of gambling / lodging. That I let them bribe me or extort me out of like $25 plus the cost of dinner to park in an open dirt field. And I didn't care for that.
The dead air is really gonna slap.
That's where we're gonna put all of our sponsored ads that we're gonna get on this first episode.
Hell yeah. Heck yeah. I mean, sorry, we'll bleep that out for the kids.
California. Please tell me your Californian stupidity.
Whew. California. I mean, we'll have to section it off because I've been stupid in Northern California, Central California, and Southern California.
Yeah.
Probably the stupidest thing I've ever done in Southern California would have to be... Oh, man. Southern California. Oh, I did a reset at Coachella one time. It was 115 degrees. Actually, I scratch all that from the record. The stupidest / smartest and bravest thing I've ever done in California was after breaking one of my teeth in Tucson, Arizona, I went ahead and grabbed a nail file and filed that bad boy down so where it wouldn't cut my tongue open every time I touched it.
Oh. First of all, thank you for your service. And that, dovetails really nicely into my stupidest thing I've ever done in California, which is probably run from the shoulder of the interstate underneath a bridge near Barstow somewhere and poop in the sand.
Poop time!
Yep. And look at the graffiti on the bridge underneath and have a little existential crisis. Actually, that's not even true. The stupidest thing I ever did in California, specifically in relation to this job, is when we got hired on here and they said, we don't really like you guys running that split sleeper schedule. And we definitely would prefer that you didn't drive from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. And then I said, I can follow these rules. And then I immediately split to the night shift, started at 1 a.m. and shut down at 5 a.m. Just exactly what they told me not to do. That was a good bit.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? I was too busy checking TikTok notifications. Was it a good story? I'm sure it was. Anyways, moving on. Where are we now? Arizona?
Arizona.
Let's see here. The stupidest thing I've ever done in Arizona? I worried about Flagstaff one time. I woke up, I was east of Albuquerque, and I was very worried about Flagstaff. And by the time I got to Flagstaff was fine. But then Jesse likes to bring it up every time we talk, and we're like, and he says, I don't know, Flagstaff looks like it's going to be a problem. So that's a funny bit. But Flagstaff, Arizona, I'm stupid.
Oh. Arizona. What are my Arizona stupidities? One time I tried to befriend a guy in Arizona by delivering him a Slim Jim to his truck in Phoenix, Arizona, and then he turned out to be a giant piece of shit. And I should have never been.
Are we allowed to cuss on this podcast?
He turned out to be a giant piece of gosh darn unprofessional trash. And he still owes me for that beefsteak, and also one time for McDonald's when I bought him McDonald's and he did not thank me, which I did not care for. It wasn't a good bit.
Oof. Yeah, that's terrible. Sorry about that. Are you okay?
I am fine. We are now in Nevada.
Nevada. God, what's the stupidest thing I've done in Nevada on this job? Are you gonna cut out all the dead air while I think of something stupid in Nevada?
Yeah. Well, like I said, we have lots of sponsors lined up. They want to pay us big money.
Yeah. This game actually sucks because I'm really good at this job and I've never done anything stupid. So.
Touche. You think we're
Let's
gonna
name all the states we've eaten Panda Express at together.
Oregon?
That game was fun. What's the next game we're gonna move on to?
Okay, can you please give me a comprehensive list of states where you have contemplated your life choices with this job?
Okay, I know exactly where to begin. Idaho, Juniper Rest Area, northbound. That was the first time. The second time was a rest area. Nope, not Pendleton. LeGrand, Oregon. I believe also westbound. Life choices. I definitely had one in Fontana, California, waiting to get loaded with a steel coil. I had never loaded steel coil, and I looked at the NASCAR track right next to me, and I was like, why wasn't I born clip lawyer? There was one time I was on the George Washington Bridge in New York City, crawling for hours, wondering why didn't I take baseball camp a little more seriously?
Man.
There was also another time in Plaster City, California. My tarp had blown off for the third time at 120 degrees. I just laid there on top of the drywall, praying for the sweet release of death.
Oh, God.
Missoula, Montana, 23 degrees below zero. My fingertips felt like broken glass. I hated every second of that untarping job until the moment the man on the forklift said, would you like to roll those up inside where it's heated? And at that point in time, I realized that was the Son of God. And he had come to save my life.
Now for a quick break from our sponsor, Central Oregon Truck Company. This is awesome. This job is great. Nothing bad ever happens here. Shelby, Montana. One time Trent Sealer gave me a load out of Shelby, Montana that was going to take me right to the house. I was going to eat. I was going to get laid. And then I started my deadhead about 75 miles in. He calls me and he says, I want you to go back to Shelby, Montana, pick up a load that's going to Salt Lake City, which is nowhere near where you live. You will not get fed. You will not get laid. And I may or may not even pay you for those miles that you just drove for no reason. And then I completely lost my mind. And I called Joe and I said some things that probably sounded a lot like, this is less than ideal. I did not care for that.
Yeah, more.
Every now and again, if fellas just kind of have a bad day here and there. That's how I sound on YouTube after I have a bad day where I'm like cursing the sun. I'll just say, every now and again, things don't go well, and that is fine. How long is this podcast going to be? We're at 34 minutes. How many of this is usable, do you think?
At least, probably none of it if we want to actually get famous on the podcast channels.
Yeah. We want to make...
You know what they call this? A pilot episode.
This is a pilot episode. Giuseppe, I would like you to, can you shut that? Dude, we're never going to be famous podcasters if you refuse to yield to my time. Robert's Rules of Order. My God.
We call him Bobby.
Joe, why don't you take us out by telling us 2 more facts about yourself that the good viewers, listeners, patrons should know.
Oh, one fact about me is one time in high school as a senior varsity pitcher, I threw 1/3 of an inning and got the win. I was in the paper. That is very hard to do, but that's what I did. Another fact you want to know about me is that I have a lump on my breast.
You do have beautiful breasts. And my name is Jesse. I am part of this show. Probably not for long. I feel like we're both about to be fired. This did not go well. 2 things you need to know about me. One time I trespassed on Phil Knight's property. He is like the 3rd richest man in the world. I could have died, but I saved it because I have charm and charisma. Another fact about me is, Joe, can you help me out? I was so sweaty, dude, and fat and just misshapen, just lumpy, just red in the cheeks. Some very, very masculine person that wasn't a man came and was like, "You do not belong here." And I said, "I know that. I'm scared and I don't want to be here." And then she was like, "You could be arrested." And I was like, "Is there air conditioning? That would be fine." And then she let me throw my little bicycle over the fence, and then Amanda came and picked me up. Another fact about me is I perspire to a great degree. At even the thought of physical exertion, I will be covered in sweat. That is Joe's favorite fact about me that he cares for greatly. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It is called... What is this podcast called?
Who cares? Just end it. Put out of his misery.
This is a
podcast.
This is the Old Yeller podcast, and we are gonna Old Yeller this podcast.
Thanks for listening. We love you guys.
Joe's lying every time he says that to you guys. He doesn't care about any of you, except for those of you that send him free stuff. That's the 3rd fact about Joe.
Well, that fact's a lot harder to prove since I don't have a P.O. box anymore.
You don't have a P.O. box anymore?
No.
Oh. It's gonna be really weird for me to send my dick pic Polaroids to you now. That's gonna be awkward. Guess the good old days really are over for good. Shame. This is a podcast that might have a name. It is about Joe receiving friendly fire during sexual intercourse, a cesarean section, and maybe something about trucking. Please private message me if you are interested in sponsoring this podcast. There are many, many, many advertising slots available. Namely, this is 38 minutes and 50 seconds that we've been recording. That means that we have about 36 minutes of spots that we could just paste right over with your advertisement. So, let us know.
Tubbo towels, are you
Me personally,
Dusty Trail Podcast. Thank you for listening.
I personally really liked March. March, I feel like, was the best month for Dollar Jerky Club or whatever it's called. You guys are great.
And the madness. NCAA, are you listening?
Blue Tiger headset, subpar, not really even that great.
Front boots. I've worn them 3 times and I lie to the people and tell them how uncomfortable they are.
Oh, gosh.
John Christner Trucking.
John Christner Trucking, Sapulpa, Oklahoma. Get fucked, drive more. This is the end of our podcast. Thank you. Now that Rush Limbaugh's dead, they'll probably pick us up for 3 hours on like 600 stations, right?
Oh, easy. Dude.
That's how podcasts work, right? AM radio?
I think so.
I have talent on loan from God. We made this podcast with half of our brains tied behind our backs and tarped down and strapped down with 33 straps. We're really good at this. We're professional flatbedders and we're unprofessional podcasters, and one of us was born cesarean. What more could you possibly want out of a podcast? We hit all of the points.
Transistor, I barely know her.
This podcast is brought to you by Simply Fresh. That's not even what it's called. They're never going to sponsor us.
Hello Kitty. The FBI. If you're looking for Bureau of Investigations, the only way to go is the federal.
I
Sign
agree.
up now.
Say less, Andrew Jackson.
Shut the fuck up while I give them the promo code. If you go to the FICA website, use our podcast name, the Old Dusty Trail Podcast, for 10% off of the taxes you're evading anyway.
This podcast is brought to you by Hornady Transportation. Apply today.